I've lost over 55 pounds, and one of the most underrated aspects of weight loss is gut health. So here are my top 10 tips for maintaining good gut health. Number 1 is consuming enough fiber. Fiber is like the forgotten child, you know, the black sheep of the family. No one talks about it. No one thinks about it. She's forgotten, but she's important. Everyone always talks about carbs, protein, fat, which yes, especially high protein and a high fat diet, so amazing for you. But fiber is everything for your gut health. There's soluble and insoluble fiber, which we will get into shortly, but the average adult needs about 30 to 35 grams. Don't listen to anyone that tells you 20 to 25 grams is enough. 30 to 35 is ideal and optimal. So I'm about to get a little sciencey here, so stick with me, a little nerdy. So soluble and insoluble fiber, they basically work together to create kind of like a gel that coats the inside of your small intestines, which helps to slow down the absorption, which is a good thing. So basically what that does, it helps with insulin resistance. So it's going to really help your digestive system. What's really cool about it as well is it helps to stop your liver from converting excess energy into fat. So I can't even begin to describe how important the forgotten child is, aka fiber. It's also just important to get a wide variety of fiber. So for example, beans, nuts, whole grains, instead of just sticking to one thing, having a variety is very important because they're each going to have different things to offer. Personally, if I'm being honest, that's something that I need to even get better at, is consuming more fiber. It's something I'm constantly thinking of, is fiber and protein. I always try to remind myself, get your protein up, get your fiber up. So I'm definitely not perfect. I'm probably right there with you. Here's a reminder to myself as well that we gotta eat more fiber. So for soluble fiber, think nuts, seeds, beans, and for insoluble fiber, think more like vegetables and whole grains. So we talked a little bit about how stress and cortisol levels affect your gut health when it comes to sleep, but this is just in general. Stress in general is so bad for our gut health because like I said, our cortisol level directly affects our gut health. So it's just a domino effect. So I highly suggest if you're in a stressful season in your life, try to find natural ways to cope with it, like doing yoga, doing meditation. Something that I like to do is just, I wouldn't say meditation, I guess a little bit, because I really find that stretching helps relieve my stress. I know that might be weird to some people, but it's just that period of time where I can just stretch my body, get all of like the knots and stress out of my literal muscles, and it just loosens my body up. And during that time, I kind of just quiet my mind, practice breathing exercises at the same time. I also really love to take ashwagandha personally for my anxiety. So if you have anxiety or anything like that, definitely consult with your doctor first. I consult with my naturopath and she helps me with the supplements that I'm on, but ashwagandha has been revolutionary for my anxiety. I no longer am like short of patience or irritable, and I just get less stressed. So I definitely recommend that, or 5-HTP is another good one as well. Just see what works for you. I always recommend doing your own research. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a girl who's been through it all, who's trying to help. But I'm not a doctor, so definitely consult your doctor. But ashwagandha is my go-to every single day, and it really does help with my stress levels. Something I do to really help my stress levels as well, which I think is so underrated, is taking daily walks, even if it is cold where you are. I was walking even in the winter when it was -5 degrees outside. Bundle up, put on layers, and just push yourself to do it. I am not even kidding. The mental change it gives you is insane. A lot of people underestimate the importance of getting fresh air, going for a nature walk, or even just sitting outside, taking time to breathe, listen to the birds, listening to nature sounds, the sounds of nature that's happening right around us. As the beautiful birds just chirp right now as I'm talking, it's like magical, isn't it? It's crazy because when I was younger, I never valued nature, but now that I'm older, I am such a nature girl. I might not be as deep of a nature girl as like, you know, camping in the woods for a week, maybe not that deep, but I love a good nature walk. I love going hiking and just breathing it all in. It's so important to manage your stress. You're going to instantly feel better. I was actually just talking about this the other day. I don't know what it is, but there's something about just simply stepping outside, just getting outside. I don't know if you guys experience the same thing, but as soon as I go outside, it feels like my mind just got a refresh. Like I instantly feel like my mind is clear. I just feel so much better. It is crazy what it does for us. So one of the best things you can do for your gut health is to get outside. It's crazy because you would never think it would impact that, but it directly impacts your stress levels, which affects your cortisol, which affects your gut. So one of my biggest tips, just get outside. Third one, stay hydrated. I can't even begin to describe like how important it is to make sure you stay hydrated and drink an adequate amount of water. And what is adequate? Honestly, it depends on where you live, like how warm of a climate you live, what your activity level is. Are you super active, so maybe you need more water? Are you less active, so maybe you need less water? It really just depends, but on average, most people need about 2 to 3 liters a day. It's very important. It helps to aid in your digestion, helps to flush out toxins, and a really good tip is to add a little bit of salt in your water. This is going to help your body absorb the water better to prevent dehydration. Also, you're not going to use the bathroom as much because your body's actually absorbing the water. Speaking of water, you guys know I have been using my Aquasana clean water machine for months now. It's actually been almost a year. This clean water machine is perfect for renters or for anyone who wants access to the cleanest water. Aquasana's clean water machine removes mercury, lead, microplastics, and so much more, but it keeps all of the good stuff like the calcium, the potassium, the magnesium. It transforms tap water into clean water instantly. It is amazing. Literally all you have to do is fill it up, then press the button, and bam, you have clean water instantly. Also, it fits 300 gallons of water, so I love that because you're not having to constantly refill it. It also fills up an 8-ounce glass in roughly about 8 seconds. I love that because call me impatient, but I hate when you're trying to fill up your glass or bottle of water and you're just standing there waiting forever. Aquasana offers so many water filtration systems, even whole house ones, under the sink ones. The clean water machine is great because you just plug it in. There's no installation needed. So you guys can either scan the QR code or use my link down below to get 55% off all of their systems that are over $49 plus free shipping. So I'm gonna leave my link down below, and huge shout out to Aquasana for sponsoring today's video. This next one right here is my personal favorite, and it is more movement. A lot of people don't realize that regular exercise helps your gut. It's not something you think of. A lot of people think I should just exercise just to burn calories, but not only does it affect your gut health directly, but it also ties into what I mentioned before in terms of your stress levels. Exercising regularly is really gonna help manage your stress levels, and it's gonna help you feel better, which is then gonna help your gut health. So it's all a domino effect again. Like I mentioned before, it is not just one thing. Everything ties in together. Walking in general is so underrated. A lot of people don't realize when I say more movement, you don't need to get fancy. You don't need to go purchase a gym membership right now. You could literally just do some jumping jacks right now, or just get up and go for a nice nature walk. Or my favorite thing, pick up some resistance bands on Amazon. It's so easy to do in your living room while your kids are watching TV or while your baby is in the bouncer. Like, it's such an easy go-to workout that you can just do in 5 minutes. So just getting more movement is going to be key. Not only does it help promote better gut health, but it's also going to help your bowel movement. It's not a topic that people want to talk about, especially on the internet, but let's just be real. I don't know if y'all have ever noticed, but when you go on a nice long walk, you be feeling good after, if you know what I mean. It just helps your bowel movements, it helps your body digest everything better. Consuming probiotic rich foods. It's so important. It's going to help restore your gut flora balance. Foods like yogurt, kombucha, kefir. Kefir is a really good one. Such an amazing food. I personally love yogurt and kefir. Those are my two kind of go-tos, although again, a wide variety is good. But yogurt is just so easy because it's so tasty on its own. Sauerkraut, for example, not really my favorite, but you could kind of sneak it into sandwiches and stuff like that. Let me know if you guys have any recipe tips for sauerkraut down below. Kefir is so easy to just pop in smoothies. I always do that for Kylo. Anytime I'm making him a smoothie, I just pop in some kefir. When it comes to yogurt, I personally love Greek yogurt because it's high in protein as well. So you're getting high protein, probiotic rich. It's a double whammy, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It's going to help to support that good, healthy bacteria in your gut, which is then going to help your digestion. So that's why this is so important, because without good digestion, without good gut health, yes, you can't lose weight, but you're also gonna have that bloat. Like, no matter how much weight you lose, if you find that you just look a little swollen, a little bloated, you could have trouble with digestion. So that's why stuff like probiotic foods and high fiber foods are so important for your gut health. It's super, super, super important to heal your gut if you don't want to be dealing with bloat all the time. This one might be obvious, and I even feel like stupid saying it because I feel like this is obvious, but sometimes we just need a little reminder to, I almost want to say no alcohol and no smoking, but if that's something you enjoy to do, who am I to judge, right? Am I right? Like, really, who am I? But in all seriousness, it is important to limit. Obviously, if it's something that you really don't care much about, if it's something that you find yourself getting like socially pressured to do, I would say that you don't need to completely say no to it. But if it's something you genuinely do enjoy doing, just limit it, because there is no question in general how harmful alcohol and smoking is, just all smoking in general, by the way, for your health, but specifically for your gut health. It is just going to destroy it. So definitely limit it. And if you can, absolutely cut it out completely. For me personally, I don't even well, smoking definitely no at all. Alcohol, I am honestly more of like a little bit of a social drinker. In all honesty, I have social anxiety and I'm such an introvert. So if I am going to like get invited to a dinner, or like if I have to go somewhere to like a social event, whew, honey, I need a little something, you know what I mean? So I occasionally will do that, but honestly, let's be real, I'm a little hermit, so I keep myself out of social events anyways for the most part. So I rarely have to, but yeah, basically this is me saying I barely ever do drink alcohol. But like I said, if you do your thing, girl, just limit it. It is insane to me, just the standards that we have for our food these days. I feel like some of these ingredients that are in our foods needs to be illegal. Like, I'm not even joking. I'm looking for a change. Like, you know, when you go to the grocery store and there's like the natural section with the healthier options, can we just make that the norm? Like, why is the whole grocery store just not filled with the better alternatives? That should just be the standard. And when I say better alternatives, I mean foods without seed oil, foods without gums. All of these seed oils, gums, artificial dyes, artificial flavorings added in our food, you don't realize how much of an effect it really does have on our gut health. Not only does it affect our gut health, it causes inflammation. So just in general, definitely recommend limiting your processed food intake. Honestly, even if you do find a processed food that has better ingredients, it's just good in general to limit your processed food intake. Why? Because it's better to eat whole foods where you're actually getting that fiber, you're actually getting those probiotics, and just all of the different nutrients and vitamins that whole foods are going to offer. You're really not going to get that much nutrients out of a processed food, right? But you guys know I'm very balanced. I'm not saying processed food is bad. We're all going to eat something processed. And I love a good cookie or a snack or something I can quickly grab. There's nothing directly wrong with that as long as it's not consuming the bulk of your diet. That's why I don't say no processed foods, because yes, although that's possible, I don't think it's maybe realistic or sustainable. So for me, I just like to limit it. So as long as about 80% of my diet is whole foods, then 20 is fine, but definitely don't want it to be the opposite. For dinner, you don't want to be eating a frozen pizza that you got at the grocery store. Instead, make your own pizza. And again, it doesn't have to be black or white. That doesn't mean you need to be like in the kitchen making your own dough, although that actually isn't that hard to do. But I'm just saying, you can have like a balance where you can find a good little happy medium where something is still realistic and sustainable, but just try your best to not resort to getting the pre-made frozen food at the grocery store or getting the boxed cookies. Do you know what I mean? So limit it, but it doesn't need to be completely zero, because it really does affect your gut health and just your health in general. Like, you're not gonna feel the greatest because you're missing out on so many vitamins and nutrients from consuming whole foods. I can't even begin to describe how much society has completely forgotten about women, because this whole get 8 hours, or not even get 7 to 8 hours of sleep recommendation, honey, they were thinking about men, okay? So ignore that. Women need at least 9 hours. At the very minimum, if you cannot get 9 hours, try your best to aim for 8. 7 hours of sleep is trash for women. Our hormones get replenished while we're sleeping, and it is so important for us to get at least 9 hours of sleep. Actually, during our cycle, we need 10 hours. Honestly, that's no surprise for me. My whole life, I've always said to people, I always feel best when I get 9 hours of sleep. Like, I thought that was just me personally. I thought I was just a sleepyhead. No, you feel your best because it's literally the best for you. But a lot of people don't talk about how important adequate sleep is for your gut health. So how exactly lack of sleep affects your stress levels? You're going to feel more stressed. You're not going to feel replenished. And that stress and that cortisol level directly affects your gut health as well. So it's just kind of like a domino effect. One thing affects the other. And that's why I always say that when it comes to health or just weight loss, it's not one thing, right? It's like everything comes together and it's all a domino effect. This next one is one that I did not realize before, but intermittent fasting helps your gut tremendously. Why? Because it allows your gut to rest and it allows for microbiome changes. Without that, you're constantly eating around the clock. When are you ever giving your gut a rest to be able to properly digest everything, sort through all the good and the bad bacteria? A lot of people think that eating dinner right before bed or a snack right before bed and then waking up and eating breakfast right away is a good enough amount of time for their gut to rest, and it's really not. Giving just 8 hours for your gut to rest is not enough. Your gut needs a good, preferably 12 hours, but at least 10-ish. I prefer 12 to 14. Personally for me, usually my last meal, it's usually a snack or dessert. Usually my last snack meal of the day is around 7:30-ish. And then I don't eat until the next morning around 8:30 earliest. A lot of the times 9:30. So I have a good, what is that? I'm not the greatest at math. I have a good 13 to 14 hour window before I eat my next meal. And I don't do that, by the way, very intentionally. It's just what I notice I naturally gravitate towards, and I can't help but wonder if that's just my body instinctively knowing that's what's best for me. But yeah, you don't need to eat as soon as you wake up. And if you do prefer to eat as soon as you wake up, then try the night before to have your last snack or meal of the day a little earlier rather than later. This next one right here is something that I never even realized was a thing, but antibiotics severely impact your gut health. They completely destroy all of the good bacteria. So if you can limit antibiotics, I'm not one of those people that completely doesn't believe in modern medicine at all. I think modern medicine is amazing and I think it's given us so many gifts, but I also think it comes with downfalls or it can be overused. So I personally think there's a time and a place for modern medicine, but it shouldn't always be like our first go-to. That's one thing I hate about our society in general. If you're not feeling good and you're feeling sick or you're feeling tired, first thing is like, let me take medication for it. Instead, ask yourself, hey, why am I constantly getting sick? Maybe there's something wrong with my immune system. Maybe I need to eat better. Maybe I need to exercise. Maybe I need more vitamins. Maybe I'm deficient in something. Like, let's think deeper and beyond than just resorting to medication. Like I said, I'm not against antibiotics. I think there is a time and a place for them. If an infection is bad enough, you need antibiotics. But I always like to first try to heal something naturally with probiotics, as well as any natural oils. For example, when Kylo had an ear infection, I felt so guilty because it was the first time it happened and he was like 1.5. So I just got scared because he was crying a lot. And my first thing was to go to the doctor and get antibiotics. But I do wish before I did that, I wish that I would have tried oregano and garlic oil, because I heard that that is amazing for ear infections and it doesn't hurt to try. Try it for a day or two. If it's still not working, then, you know, resort to antibiotics. But like I said, I did have like regret and guilt. I felt really bad afterwards, but I think because it was my first time, I'm also like a new mom, so I just never had a sick child with an ear infection and I saw him in pain, so I just like panicked. But definitely a lesson learned. For me specifically, anytime I get sick, I don't first resort to taking medication. I always look deeper, think about what vitamins I can take, what can I do, can I sleep, can, you know, whatever. But I think because it was Kylo and because it was first time seeing, you know, my son sick like that, I kind of panicked a little bit, but yeah.